Hello, everybody, and welcome to this conversation in January 2021. In all fairness, in full disclosure, we are actually recording this in December 2020, but most of you are going to be watching this video in January of 2021. So let me begin by saying hello. I am Veena Khanke. I am the Director of Grants and Partnerships at Dining for Women. And here's wishing all of you a very, very happy new year. What a year the past year has been. It has taken a lot out of all of us, and it has certainly impacted the lives of women and girls all across the world. The Sustainable Development Goals agenda for 2030 is not moving the way it should. So many countries had made such wonderful progress, and now all of that is going to be slowed down. Lives have changed. There are girls who are not going to school. Everybody's health has been impacted, not to mention what the economic recession is going to do all over the world. But this is a new year. This is a wonderful time for all of us to regroup, to re-engage, to recommit. And we have wonderful news for all of you. Most of you know that Dining for Women has a new mission, a new vision, and soon we will have a new name. So everybody, let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to it and recommit to the women and girls all over the world. I have a few announcements to make. In the month of March, we will have two really important events. The first is International Women's Day, which is actually on March the 8th, 2021. Dining for Women will be celebrating it on Saturday, March 6th, and we will celebrate International Women's Day with panelists and speakers, and we will also be announcing our new name. So please tune in on March 6th. The following week is the beginning of CSW 65, which typically would be held in New York City, but not this time. It's going to be a virtual event. Dining for Women will once again be co-sponsoring an event with UNICEF. It's going to be virtual and all of you are invited. So stay tuned for all the details in our newsletters and in our emails. It is my absolute pleasure to join this conversation with the Barca Foundation, and I have two guests with me who are joining us from the deep woods of northern Maine. Hello, Ina and Esu Anahata, who are the co-founders of the Barca Foundation. Hello.
Hi, Hello, everyone. Esu and I are coming to you from T3ND, a remote area in the wilds of Maine, referred to as unorganized territory. We live on the shore of a pristine lake, 17 miles from the nearest telephone pole. For the last 11 years, when we weren't in Burkina Faso, we've been here, living off-grid with no running water, a composting toilet, solar power, a wood stove, and a satellite dish to connect us to the world.
Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in the heart of West Africa. It has a population of 20 million and is one of the world's poorest countries. Burkina faces many challenges, including flooding, drought, deforestation, desertification, extreme poverty, and now, unfortunately, the world's fastest growing jihadist insurgency. It's important to mention, however, that Burkina is also rich with cultural and linguistic diversity, spiritual traditions, and indigenous wisdom.
People always ask us why we chose Burkina. It really wasn't a choice. We believe it was simply divine choreography.
Our introduction to Burkina was through a spiritual teacher named Malidoma Patrice Sommet, who brought us to his home to work with traditional healers and medicine keepers.
Our path led us to the eastern region of Burkina Faso, which is well known for its powerful spiritual traditions. For several years, we had the opportunity to work with elders, during which time Esu and I were aligned with a deep sense of life purpose that led us to create the BARKA Foundation. Our lives became absolutely devoted to BARKA and each other. We were married in Burkina Faso.
BARCA Foundation has dual citizenship as a US and Burkina Faso-based organization. We are affiliated with the UN. BARKA doesn't parachute into a village, do its work, and leave. We form long-lasting relationships with communities and ensure their full participation in every project we implement.
Women's empowerment is woven into every project we do. In fact, it was women who directed BARKA to focus on clean water.
For BARKA, safe drinking water is the hub of a wheel to which everything else is connected. Clean water must be accompanied with improvements to sanitation, which is crucial in an environment where 97% of the people practice open defecation. To get people to change behavior, BARKA teaches basic hygiene. Water, sanitation, and hygiene is referred to by the acronym WASH. In every village where BARKA has worked, we work with schools because the youth have shown that they are the change agents within the family. It was through our WASH in Schools programs that we discovered the lack of resources for girls to address their menstrual needs, and this gave rise to our menstrual health program.
For the past 4 years, this is where we have placed increasing focus. Burkina Faso is a highly patriarchal society. Menstruation is a taboo subject in Burkina, and focusing on this was a way to further empower women. Our project leaders have sensitized over 7,000 high school students, not only girls, but also boys, teachers, and parents. Our program imparts basic information about menstruation. Most mothers say nothing to their daughters until they experience their first period, which often results in an unnecessarily traumatic experience. Our program identified the lack of resources in high schools for girls to adequately address their menstrual needs. Here is a typical school latrine with no running water, no toilet paper, and a lack of privacy. To address this problem, BARKA constructed the first menstrual hygiene cabins at the 2 largest high schools in the Eastern region, benefiting 3,000 girls. On Menstrual Hygiene Day 2020, the Minister of Education said he had integrated menstrual health into Burkina's new educational curriculum. This was due to the work of the Menstrual Hygiene Coalition, an advocacy group in Burkina of which BARKA is a founding member.
In researching the next step to find better menstrual product choices for women in Burkina, we discovered the menstrual cup. Cups are a safe, cost-effective, environmentally friendly solution that is ideal for a low-income, water-stressed country like Burkina. The name of our project is Africup Yasoma. Yasoma is an expression in Moray, the language most commonly spoken in Burkina, that means it's good. This is the first major cup project in Burkina Faso's Her Story. We have 2 perfect implementation partners, Menstrual and Femme International. Menstrual is a social enterprise based in Burkina that has formed a team of cup ambassadors who will make cups available even after the project is finished. Femme International is a cup expert in Africa. They've refined a methodology that we will utilize in this pilot. Femme will provide the master teacher who will train community health workers how to use cups, and 4 months later, train them how to train others within their community. They will also oversee the monitoring and evaluation of the project. The primary goal of Africup Yasoma is to lay the groundwork for cup programming on a national level. We'll hold advocacy workshops to explain the benefits of cups and explain why they're such a good solution for a country like Burkina. Through comprehensive training about menstrual hygiene, we'll also decrease the stigmatization that surrounds menstruation in Burkina Faso.
We're always looking for volunteers, interns, and committed board members. Connect with us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, and spread the word about cups. Thank you for your attention.
And this is an important slide we just want to get to because BARKA is a word that we want everyone in the world to really understand the meaning of. It's an ancient African word of gratitude. It's a thank you so big that it's a blessing. And we named our organization the Barca Foundation to express our gratitude for all we had received and to create reciprocity between the world in Burkina Faso and the world we live in here to build those bridges. Thank you.
Barca, 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 barca.
Barca, barca, barca. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. I am so sure that our Dining for Women members are going to embrace this word because these are values that we embrace too. So, Ina, let me ask you this. In our conversations before we started this recording, you spoke passionately about your connections to the people in your communities. And Dining for Women tries to select grantees who have a deep understanding of their communities and where they express the wishes of the people that they're working amongst. So, tell us more about your connection to Burkina Faso.
Well, when we first started going to Burkina, which for me was over 20 years ago, we didn't even have the concept of the BARKA Foundation. And we went because we were invited by our spiritual teacher to go and learn more about the traditions of his people, the Dagara people. And then from there found our way into the Eastern region, and for quite a number of years had the extraordinary opportunity to be able to live out in the bush with the people, eating the food, being introduced into some of their traditions, being adopted into a family. We now have our own home village, which everyone does there. And to just, it was like a skyhook, to be honest with you, that came down and reached inside of us and pulled us over there. So that we could really have a better understanding of other people and how they live. And then from there, and working with the spiritual elders, it was like this seed blossomed and out popped the BARKA Foundation in order to enact reciprocity, because that's one of the greatest lessons that we have learned from everyone that we have had contact with in Burkina Faso was about reciprocity. And the people there are so kind and so gracious and so giving and so full of gratitude and life and dance and music and song, that for us to be able to come here and share what we have learned from the people there, then it was like we had a ding moment and had to give back. And we wanted to do it in the biggest way possible. And that was in the creation of the BARKA Foundation, so that we could then go out into the United States, into the world, into whoever wanted to join hands and sit around this table with us, to be able to give back to these people who so many don't even know about, the country of Burkina Faso and how they live and who they are. And it has been a great blessing for us, and we want to share that blessing and invite others to join us.
Oh, absolutely. We are with you on this journey. And I wanted to remind all the Dining for Women members that Ina and Esu Anahata are actually a name given to them by the Burkina Faso people. So I'm not going to ask you what name is on your driver's license. Let's talk about menstrual cups. So, Esu, tell us more about introducing menstrual cups, changing the way women see their time and their opportunities, and how this is going to transform their lives and increase their agency.
Well, this project is really revolutionary for a place like Burkina Faso, and in fact, all of West Africa. West Africa has been very slow to adopt cups. We're seeing cup adoption start to catch on in other parts of Africa, Eastern and Southern especially. And of course, it's already kind of arrived in the US and in Europe. But probably we think for cultural and religious reasons, West Africa is relatively untapped. And so this is a real introduction to menstrual cups for the women of Burkina Faso. We are incredibly excited because we feel like we have all the right pieces of the puzzle to really have an expanded impact. Not only are our goals and to really reach a national level with this project within Burkina, but ultimately to expand into other parts of West Africa and use this as a pilot, as a test case scenario to refine a methodology and an approach that we have already in hand, and now we're going to put it to use and bring in the the input of the women themselves, who will be important contributors to the design and the methodology of this project. So we'll be working with community health workers who know the community really well. They're going to be the ones who will be in charge of reaching out to the wider community, and they will be feeding back to us and helping to design this project in really important ways that will not only be empowering to them, but it will ensure that this is done in a culturally appropriate way, in a way that can be most effective. And I just want to add that Menstrual is a social enterprise. So they are already dealing with cups in a very small way. This is going to sort of expand their impact in a large way. But the fact that they will be able to make cups available after the project ends, this is really important, because successful projects, successful cup projects, create demand for cups. But too seldom do we see these projects offering a supply of cups after the project. So with Menstrual on board, they will be able to deliver a sustainable supply of cups to everyone who wants them. And that's really how we can improve the lives of women. This is a really major step.
Absolutely. So, we were very impressed with the way your project came across in the grant application, because you're right. We don't want to be seen as a funder who funds a tiny little project and then we disappear and then nobody gets any more benefits. But the way you've thought through this, where you do have you're creating the demand and then the supply will follow. And clearly in your grantee video, you have shown that the community is open to accepting this, and we think it's going to be a fabulous project, and we are delighted to be part of this. Now, one of the questions that will come up for a lot of people is, in this part of the world, there is a fair amount of female genital cutting. And so how exactly do you see women and girls who may have experienced this, how this plays out with this new way of thinking and new way of living your life?
That's a very good question. Female genital mutilation and cutting is known by the acronym FGMC. The rate of incidence of FGMC in Burkina is as high as 71%. We're seeing that number go down with younger girls. So it does seem that this outlawed practice is beginning to become phased out, but it's still extremely prevalent. So there is one type of FGM called type 3 that actually will preclude the use of being able to use a cup. You will not be able to use a cup if you have had type 3 FGM. But all the other, that is the least common, and all the other types, not only can you use a cup, but Femme International and other studies as well have shown in their work that cups provide a kind of liberating aspect to providing a choice of menstrual products that can actually be very empowering, and that can allow these women to reclaim a part of their body and have it transform from a source of shame to a source of empowerment. So we have designed the program with this in mind. This is really uncharted territory. There's been no formal research done with regard to cups and FGMC. So this is an area that we're really looking very closely into. And for those women who won't be able to use cups, we've taken that into consideration, and we will be offering reusable sanitary pads for those women to ensure that there is inclusion for everyone.
Absolutely. I could stay and chat with you forever. We are running out of time. So in really 10 seconds, 20 seconds, if you can you briefly talk about your future plans for WASH projects?
Well, we are very happy to say that it's important to continue to work with water because that's the first thing that the women ask for and that all women in Burkina will ask you for. And currently, we are working with Rotary to do a 20 well project in the Eastern region in 2021, which will help to bring clean water to the internally displaced people because of the jihadists that Esu had mentioned. They're flocking into the towns and overloading systems that are already overloaded. So we're really happy to be, hopefully, with the help of Rotary, be bringing 20 wells into the Eastern region in 2021. And thank you so much for asking about that.
Ina and Esu Anahata, it has been my absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you.